All right, peace and blessings, family. Sam PK Collins, aka Ross Ploquia Glevuo. I am back. All eyes on DC, recording live from the lair, the studio in my house. We have a blast from the past. Two Blackologists on Zoom right now. Dr.
No
Sirleaf.
sound. Can you? Okay.
Dr. Sirleaf and Dr. Cross. Both of them are on the air right now. We are recording this conversation to be distributed later on, but right now is a pivotal time in our African history, and we have a lot to discuss. I'm so happy to have two of these esteemed elders back. Welcome back, y'all. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Always ready and welcome.
So, last time you guys were on the show, we were at Sankofa Video Books and Cafe on Georgia Avenue. The year was 2015, and the world, not the world, but young people my age, just got to know about Blacology and just what a Blackologist is. For those of us who haven't heard about Blacology, would you mind just talking about that frame of study and like what it encompasses?
Well, of course, again, we always start with the definition of Blacology so we can give everybody some concrete information about it. And Blacology is defined as the scientific study of the evolution of Black African people and their culture. It is also the affirmation of intellectual genius, creativity, and the Black story. Holistically, it is the manifestation of an authentic, autonomous, applied, Blackological, intellectual, cultural science, education, commerce. And it is also about the wisdom, creativity of Black African people. That's it in a nutshell. Blacology, we began our research in 1974, Chicago, Illinois, during the Black Panther, Black Power movement. And also we were encouraged by the 1968 with John Carlos, Tommy Smith, with the Black Power symbol during the Olympics. From then I went on to Bishop College and conducted research and study at the Zale Library, looking for the word Blacology. That I had to take a Blacology, a Black history course in Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable. I was short 3 credit hours, and the only way I could graduate was I take them hours. And so I went from Harper High School to Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable High, the word Blacology. At that point, it was spelled with the K. So I graduated, went on to Bishop College, and there I, was asked what course did I want to study as a freshman, and I told them I wanted to study Blacology. Me and said, well, ain't no Blacology here. You got to do something, but it ain't Blacology. So I went to the library to see if I could find it because I had studied it in the Black history course. Of course, I never found Blacology in the library. W.B. Du Bois were sociology scholars. So then I chose sociology. And from there, I did all the research I could do on Black scholars in sociology. And so, I continued to look for the word Black. Of course, I never found it, even though I looked through all the shelves in the Black section and everywhere I could look. But, I didn't find it. But it was still on my heart and my mind that I wanted to be a Blackologist. And so, I started again researching. And so I did some writing. I wrote it down, and I decided I wanted to go to a doctoral program and a master's program. And the only one I could get in was the University of Texas at Arlington. When I got there, they told Blacology there I could only do urban affairs. So, you know, I finished 2 semesters and then I left and went to Prairie View. At Prairie View is where I met my brother, who was, you know, some of the best inspiration. You know, brother walking with him, you know, helping him work on a dream that both of them had together. We both wanted to be Blackologists, and we started writing about it. So the work that we did in the master's program at Prairie View was the essence of first books in Blackology. We got our master's in sociology at Prairie View, where the introduction of Blackology was written, you know, brief introduction was written, and then Black Solidarity, the awareness of institutional racism, and Black politics, you know, Black politics for Black culture. So that's how we began to get the essence of Blackology, and we both got together and we decided we wanted to do masters. So, you know, my brother was here in DC. Like, you know, I'm 4 years older than him, and he was here. So I came here, applied to Howard. They told me to come on, and I went to Howard and in sociology to build Blackology. But I ran into confusion, conflict, and because they wasn't ready for Blackology and sociology. So that didn't stop me. So Doc came, he called me, said, "Bro, Brother Cross, I forgot what university he was in, but he said, I'm coming down there with you at Howard." And he went and got in African studies, thing that could have happened because we were studying Africa, the origins of you know, the African revolts, the origins of Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and we was just, you know, all out African all the way. And everything I did research on Blackology, Docology. So now we got over 50 books, you know, written in Blackology and dissertations. So that's how we began, and that's why, you know, we're here today, because the ancestors and the creators blessed us with this vision, this ideal, you know, this mission to build Blackology of cultural science. And now, you know, Dr. Sirleaf in his work in Liberia has, you know, done such a great job. We got brothers and sisters all in Liberia and Africa. Our graduates have their doctorate degrees in Blackology. Anybody that has written a book that's a Black person and written it about Black people, that's his dissertation or his, you know, universal Blackological science doctorate degree.
Man, that's powerful.
And
that's real powerful.
To get a degree in Blackology, all they have to do, go to blackology.com, you know, click on the founders. You can click on, you know, the research. You can click on media, and you can listen to, read, study. And if you want to write about Blackology, you can write about Blackology. If you just want to write about Black people and you have an ideal or philosophy, a concept or belief about the field of study or Black people in general, the origin, whatever you want to write about Black women, if it's about Black culture, you can be degreed in Blackology of cultural science with the doctorates, masters, undergraduate, intermediate, that's like junior college, and then you can get a high school, you can get a junior high, elementary, you can get you know, preschool, and you can be degreed in Blackology. That's how we, you know, that's how we roll.
I appreciate that. Dr. Sirleaf, would you mind adding to that and speaking about everything Dr. Cross said in the context of your experiences as a Liberian? Because people who don't know,
good afternoon.
people don't know that Liberia has such a relevant history. You know, could you talk about your experiences and just tying that to Blackology?
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Once again, I'm Professor Dr. Amos Sirleaf. I'm the Vice President and CEO of Blacology Research Development Institute, USA Liberia Mission. And I joined my brother, as I said everything. And I enrolled at Howard University in the African Studies Department. I got my PhD in the African Studies Department with specific emphasis on the role of international community of West African state ECOWAS in the Liberian civil conflict, a case study of conflict management and international relations. Then in 2006, I got the PhD honorarium in Blacology. Then I wrote my dissertation on the Black race, the African continent, the ultimate necessity for the development of Blacology, a 21st century African system of thought. From the Liberian perspective, the internationalization of Blacology actually came on 2011 when I went to Liberia, and I transformed the curriculum that they had at the African Museum because I was the director of the Africana Liberian Studies Department. So I decided to integrate those areas into Blacology because Africana study actually get an African in the diaspora study. And so I decided to do that, and luckily it passed. So I did a whole lot, and I wrote the institution, and the objective of Blacology in Liberia at that time was to undo the miseducation of the Liberian people, in particular the students, because we are culturally conditioned to believe that white people are superior, Black people are inferior. The manifestation of that is that we are undervalued, we are marginalized, we do not support one another, we divorce our wives, we take our arms against one another, we do not make the arms that we're killing one another with, and we do not respect the elders, we do not respect the legitimate authority. So those are some of the things that I was actually undoing their miseducation. And I think I was successful in many areas because I told them that if this study had been on the ground, most of the guys that went unarmed, they couldn't have gone there because people have brought studies here, created war, charter brought a different rebel group and created war, but have brought something, Blacology, that can intellectualize you and undo your miseducation. I think I was successful. I graduated people with degrees in Blacology, PhD, even people who had European PhD getting PhD honorarium in Blacology, and in 2014 in Liberia. So also I established that the University of Liberia when I was there teaching at the Ibrahim Babangida Institute of Conflict Transformation International Study. I also intellectualized the graduate students there. Blacology actually there, and other Ghanaian professors calling me how we can get together and establish Blacology on the west coast of Africa on the other side in Ghana. So actually, that whole lot of work we need to do, and I did a whole lot there, and more need to.
Absolutely. You know, the work of Blacology, you know, you know, the the work of Blacology is such that you know it causes it causes for our people to think and you know reflect on their lives, and it causes them to think about what it is that we need to do as, and it also causes us to be creative and you know ingenious in what it is that we do, because all of us was born for this period. We were born to be able to bring forth to our people the wisdom, the knowledge, the
So I got a question, you know, and forgive me.
The kingdom were born to do what they did so that they could make a way for us. Go ahead.
Cause you guys dropped a whole lot of science, you know. I especially like the part about intellectualizing Black African people and pretty much reorienting them to understand our true history as Black African people and the gains that we made over the millennia, even with enslavement and colonialism. I really appreciated that. And as somebody who's grown in this African consciousness, even in this system that is anti-African, you know, it took a lot for me to not turn away from Africa, you know, and the experiences that I got here really affirmed my love for African culture and Pan-Africanism, right? The question that I have for you two as educators is, given what you're seeing today, right, with the presidency of Donald Trump, with people of color really not embracing Pan-Africanism or embracing internationalism, people really holding on to their colonizer governments, what is the future? What does the future hold for people like us who still understand that we as Africans need to be a collective and need to come together? What is the key strategy in overcoming all of this misinformation, all of this hate toward African unification?
All right, let me come in. Thank you very much. We celebrate African Liberation Day, of course. It was African Freedom Day on the 1963, when the formation of the Organization of African Unity came, and they transformed that to African Liberation Day, but actually it was about African Unification Day through the OAU. Look, in the context of intellectualizing the young people vis-a-vis leadership like Donald Trump, where they had a misinformation with the respect for Black people, I would say that Pan-Africanism is relevant, actually relevant, but we have to transform that. We have to reintegrate that. We have to restructure that. We have to coordinate it in a way that it can be developmental. It can interpret different as opposed to colonial, post-colonial, or neoclassical definition in the past. So we are not. I'm not here to actually color code or filibuster and play in the yoke of the past. No, I'm here to help the young people to look at Pan-Africanism from the attentive view that you are not going to be thinking we shall overcome anymore. We are not going to be thinking by and by when the money comes. You are going to grab what is necessary for your survival. You are going to fight for it as soon as possible by any means necessary. In doing that, I had Black revolutionary struggles. I had to teach you Black inventors. I had to teach you that you made the mathematics. I had to teach you to Daniel A. Williams, fight Black open heart surgeon. I had to educate you the math that our young people are afraid to do. We made them. When I educating that you are made, you can be afraid of those subjects. I will educate you that the Jesus Christ you talk about, how we are Jesuses. Black people are the one that people need to be looking up to. I want to intellectualize young people that Mary, you see, the angel, you see, the white angels, they are false. I want to tell you that you are Jesus, you are Mary, your wife, your daughters are Marys. So those are some of the things that I want for young people to grab, because Jesus white, Mary white, the angels are white. Consequently, psychologically, you see white people, you see they are God. So you become to respect them. Like, for instance, what happened, they're killing Black people here today. What happened in the 40s, and the 50s, and 60s are still re-echoing today. So our people in the context of Pan-Africanism, I want to say that Pan-Africanism is relevant, but it has to be reintegrated. We have to reinterpret it. We have to strategically engage in the developmental context of our today's living. So those are some of the areas I want.
Yeah, that you know, and
Young people.
One of the things that was impressive to me when I first met my brother was he taught me African languages: Va, Hausa, Mandingo, Khoi Khoi, the clicks. That, was significant to me because I'd never heard a letter or a word as such. So when I heard that word and I began to write Blacology and define Blacology, I went looking for an African story. But what was in the way was this word called history. History means his story. Who is his? How come it was his? Why it was not a story about Black people? So when I went to the history books and I went back into the books and I was looking for a word that could define our existence, the word that came to me was Black story, Black storic, Black historical, Black historiography. Able to have words to define our existence. If you say you're going into history, who are you talking about? And why is it his? Why ain't it hers? But because we were indoctrinated and miseducated, his, we then saw ourselves as belonging to his. And so when we go looking for our existence and we try to find out who we are and we go find his, we caught again. We can't get out of that. So then we have to make a lexicon. We have to make words. Studying the African language helped to be able to develop words such as Afrolution. Like when I began to write the definition of Blacology, I said it was the scientific study of the evolution. But there again, we caught into something else.
Yeah. It's like you sort of got.
Now we defining ourselves like that. So I did research and study, and I came up with Afrolution, the growth and development of Black African people from colonialism, miseducation, indoctrination to a cultural, commerce, intellectual development for Black people. Even the word intellectual, I didn't spell it the way the whites did, because we was looking for something that was distinguishable about ourselves. I spelled it Ntalextuwl, to give us a word, to give us some intelligence.
So here's my
go.
Forgive me, because a lot of what you're talking about is very similar to what I've been seeing as an educator, and it's often in hip hop culture where like youth often take words that the majority system, the white system created, and they flip it around to fit their narrative, to fit the lexicon that they want. And of course, in revealing the truth about who we are, right? We often have to talk about what was done to us by Europeans. But right now, we're in a day and age with neocolonialism and the other isms where the people who are oppressing our own people look just like us. African leaders who sit in positions of power, who are given money from, NGOs or the IMF, and they use those funds to enslave us while they fill their pockets. What difficulties have you encountered teaching people about the wickedness of the European in that context? Especially people who live among their own and have only seen wickedness from their own leaders.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. From the Blacological perspective, teaching Blacology, actually, at Cardinal University, in particular in Liberia, in actually educating them, try to undo their miseducation, because they are culturally conditioned, they are culturally conscious on the Eurocentric ideas of living. To divert their attention from that, it has been difficult and have been misunderstood on many instances. Like, I'm racist, but I told them, I said, no, if you say that I'm racist, RACIST, then of course you are saying that because I'm a Blackologist, I believe in a Black study culture, then that means that, yeah, you are right, I'm racist by virtue of the fact that I studied Black race. I do not exercise racialism. I should not exercise bigotry. So yes, I've been facing problem in actually getting my message across, because it has been a culturally conditioned paradigm that our people cannot just easily get it from it, but cannot give up because of that. And but other segment of our people are thinking like us, If you go to Liberia right now, like Ebola, I mean, Corona situation, other issue, they are getting intellectualized on the media telling them what to do. But it's a difficult situation, even if we ascribe to our people in Liberia. The people walk so many miles to go to church. You go and see white Jesus, white Mary. And then but my issue with that have been the problem with religion, Christianity, Islam. But then I do not believe the Black African people for being institutionalized, for being culturally conscious, because ignorance is a disease actually. And then but young people like you, I want to tell you that nothing wrong with you listening, but use your own mind. Because I told my people in the rural area in Liberia that Jesus is not a white man, but many times they ran me out of the churches because they never heard that before and are creating problems. And like you said, what kind of difficulty I have faced, even my fellow professors, you know, they teach from the Eurocentric perspective, actually revolutionize their minds. It takes time, and it will despise you, it will detest you, and it will be apprehensive. And but I'm a revolutionary scholar. I'm an independent scholar, and I tell it is. And the worst thing to do is to lie to your people. So it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to tell our people that they are Black. It's difficult. So we have difficult days ahead, really. But young people like you, hopefully, you will prevail. But we need to lay the ground rule and tell you the truth that this thing is winning. And so that was going on right now.
That's why with the research of Blacology, I had to invent lexicons, words that could free us from indoctrination, miseducation, fear. So, you know, when you speak about Blacology and I use the word Blacological, you have to be able to define words. So what does Blacological mean? It means of, from, by, for, and about the justice, redemption, advancement of Black people, and the redevelopment of, because if you challenge what is already existing and you have nothing to challenge it with, nor can you define what you're challenging it with, nor can they see it written down, then you've come into a blank. You're running, and then you're not going to be successful. This is why the European developed, not only the European, but man-made languages, because languages help him to get an understanding from the people that he were dealing with.
Ashe.
The pyramids, and you saw all of the symbols on the wall. There was language. Language is the key to freedom. When a man was a slave and he didn't know the word freedom and nobody had never said it to him, he went about as a slave, doubt about freedom, and he got some idea what the definition of freedom was from whoever he got it from. He was never the same until he could run away or get away, and he was ready to give his life. We talk about the revolution of Nat Turner, Gabriel Prosser, but there were over 200 revolts in the Black story. See, that's the Black story. You can't tell the Black story because if you told the Black story, you would only hear about 3. So, but when you went to tell Blacology, you could tell, and every time a person ran away, even if he got caught, that was a revolt. And the other people saw it. And some say, well, he got this far. Some say, I've been farther than that. I can get farther than that. And so we had success with runaways. Harriet. Frederick, you know, the names could go on. But the point is, once you were able to define what it was that you were doing and wanted to do, then now you can be successful. That was the reason for cutting the languages from the African people. You cut their language, because you didn't know what they was talking about, and made them speak like you spoke. You spoke English, you spoke French, you spoke German, you spoke Italian. You no longer could speak Va, Hausa, Mandingo, Khoi Khoi. In this land, we've been taught that languages at all. But the research of Blacology revealed that we speak at least 5. Hausa, we speak Euro-American. Then we speak we don't speak the King's English in England. That's different. Then we speak Spanish or Spanglish. Then
So I got one to add.
Kiswahili.
So I got one to add on to you, right? So, you know, sooner or later, we're going to start speaking Mandarin, right? Because of, you know, the Chinese coming into Africa, you know, building infrastructure and, you know, establishing credit lines with our leaders. You know, what are your thoughts about that? You know, how do we overcome that? Because, you know, between the insurgency of U.S. troops via AFRICOM, you know, we're talking about the new scramble for the African continent. You even have India, you have Russia in some cases, right? You know, it seems like it's not just Europeans anymore. And, you know, I want to get your thoughts on how do we take the language that you're speaking about, the lexicon, right? And then how do we establish that throughout the entire African diaspora to make sure that we can repel whatever these outside forces are doing? Professor Sirleaf, he alluded to it earlier when he mentioned the possibility of Blacology going to Ghana. You know, I was very happy to hear that, because that seems like the start of something very revolutionary. But I want to get your thoughts on what's happening right now with the Chinese coming into the African continent and just taking over.
Well, they came and saw all the riches and golds. And, you know, and golds will make a man do anything so that he can access it. It's greed. So, you know, you probably can't walk too far in Africa without stumbling upon something that is significant to the future of man. It's so beautiful on the planet. And there's a host of gifts that are, you know, unknown and even untold. So when you run into that and you find something that is significant on your continent and it doesn't look like it's being used, instead of teaching people to manufacture it so you can use it and get it out, you go there to take it. Mm-hmm. That comes from the past.
Okay.
I want to say the European, but not only the European, but that's the way man had been acting.
Yeah.
Prior
okay.
to the Black culture. And when civilization came and the kings and the queens organized and structured and laid down symbols and pyramids to show that it could be done.
Okay.
Then the others came and saw what they were doing and saw that, oh, that's something they ain't even using. Rather than try to do something that would help both, they went and took it. Cause war. Then from war, we have what we have today. So what we have to do is, once again, we got to be able to put together a science that will help us to be able to get our freedom back, maintain our freedom, and know what the freedom is. There's a brother got a book out. Maybe you read this book, The Black Tax. You read the book, The Black Tax? You ever saw him on the internet?
I haven't.
Sean, got the European last name, so it throws me off. Sean, anyway, if you put in there the Black Tax, right? You just put in there the Black Tax, then the Black Tax will come up. You'll see him doing presentations. You'll see people asking questions. He go back and tell you just how many slaves it was, how much it cost for each slave. when the Civil War came and the black folks fought in the war and defeated the South, the U.S. kept the land and everything from the Southerners. But they made Jim Crow laws and laws that would make it better for the whites to be able to still control the blacks. They
Definitely.
put them under the Jim Crow laws. Huh? You said something.
I said definitely.
Yeah,
if you
okay.
don't mind.
Now this is something you can go.
If you don't mind.
Ahead,
okay, in reference to Blacology, okay, in reference to Blacology, one of the significant areas that we need to also concentrate on when it comes to the continent, the continental classification people have been one of the impediments of our development. For instance, they're calling you Africans when they have white people there, and so the white people have become part of your kin folks, and then but then this is the reason very significant because no white man wants to be called black. So this is why we add the adjective to black African people. This is why in Blacology, Blacology, we move the Blakology, we move the K to deduce most, and in that you are a black African because Africa, the continent of Africa, is an invention. So the invention here comprises a whole different kind of people. So Blacology are coming to intellectualize or to say that we are different.
When you say us, you mean African people?
But we are black African people here. You're like in Liberia. Liberia was there. Our people were there before Liberia. We have Wa, we have Take, we have Glotabo, we have Tumutu before Liberia. Liberia is an invention. So in fact, in many occasions, we all were not Liberians before. Liberia was defined specifically by the pioneers. So that's how the African continent. So when we call ourselves black African people from Akibu land, the Nubians, then of course, then we find themselves abandoned because we're not looking at them as our friend African. Like when I was teaching according to university, how whites are African who were according to university, so they came to my office. And so, Dad, this is one of our brothers. I said, how come? I said, the white guy is our brother. I said, no. Somebody, I told him straight. I said, no, he's not my brother. Because he said, no, he's from South Africa. He said, African. I said, no, he's a white South African. Kind of Pretoria or my from Johannesburg. Okay, but you are black African. You are a Nubian from Akibu land. You're different from him. I told him, he wanted to straight. I told him straight. He said, we have to practice how to tell them the truth. Because the white man will look at you and say he doesn't like you. But why? He said, when he's not eating, he's smiling, not funny, he jump. I mean, that is not the case. Okay, so this is why we need to actually tell the young people the truth and also tell them the enemy, the common enemy, and we define them strategically because we have to stay deal with this devil here. In dealing with him, you can't be too open with him. You see, so we can't get rid of them because they are here. And then African people rely on them so much. Okay, now when you talk about Chinese interfering, the European interfering in Africa, I'm frustrated with the American Colonization Society. I'm frustrated with involvement. I'm frustrated with all the Arab involvement in Africa. If the Chinese look at from the Mao Zedong philosophy that we are your brothers, I think I would prefer the Chinese to Americans because saying America being Liberia, we are not developed. Look at fashion. So I think I welcome the Chinese by educating them because they like us. They like us. They are not white people. They are just marginalized people, but they having to have the opportunity to advance. And America will tell you that they are A, B, C, D because they are advancing the America. They want to help Africa out. You see, position when it comes to the Chinese intervention in Africa, we have to be very strategic in analyzing them. We are substituting the colonialist American colonization to Chinese people, but then the Chinese had their underlying thing They do not interfere in our political affairs. They do not interfere in our. They just help us to build our infrastructure, build our roads. That is my role to same thing, helping us out as America. When you do that, they suck you, give you the thing and substitute the whole thing until like that. So that way I am with the Chinese people from my
That is correct, Doc. We do have to be, wise about our relationships, with all of the other populations on the land outside of the Europeans, because they have manipulated. They got everybody before us, and so they can use that at their advantage. But going back to Blacology, once we have our own cultural science, commerce, where we can make money from the research, study, send them to our schools, teach them what they need to know about our culture, teach them what they need to know about African culture. See, even when you say the word our, that's too many. You got to be specific, direct, and subjective about what you're saying so that the children will understand that you are responsible for being who you are. That's why Black was so powerful in the civil rights movement prior to the death of King and all of those brothers and sisters who was Black and proud. And you can't get rid of Black and
So
proud.
I'm hearing
the very first way that you can identify your brothers when you have been subjugated. Somebody was saying something?
Yeah, forgive me. I don't know. Zoom is making stuff delayed. It's like I'm listening and then you stop. It's not you or me. It's the feed for Zoom. But I agree with everything that you're saying. My question, and this is like the second to last question that I had for the broadcast, because I want us to focus on COVID-19 before we wrap up. But what I want to understand is we're talking about 60 years later, right? 60 plus years since the formation of the OAU.
Yeah.
All right. So Africa has what now? 53, 54 countries?
Yeah, 54.
Several more ethnic groups, several more languages, right? At a certain point in time, Pan-Africanists agreed that Kiswahili was going to be the leading language because most of Southeastern Africa had adopted that language anyway. And we'd agreed that certain customs would encompass everything we needed for united Africa. But how possible is that now with people holding on to their indigenous culture and the norms of their particular family unit more so than the collective? Because you have a lot of people here who on here who say that those of us who identify with Africa in the West, we're too imaginative, we're too idealistic, because Africa is not a monolith, right? There are just too many countries, too many ethnic groups for us to throw all Africans in one group. What do you say to that critique of Pan-Africanism, and how do we overcome such divisions in the 21st century? Just going deeper into what you guys have said, because I'm thinking even going into Central Africa, right? East Africa, South Africa, Southern Africa, rather. How would people receive Blacology or even being called Black? How would people of Arab descent who live in Libya or Morocco, how would they receive being called Black and being called African, given the diversity of the continent?
Well, thank you, Professor Sam. This is the reason why Blacology will intensify its study in actually identifying us as Black people. Okay, Maya Gaddafi a whole lot, because many years ago, they were not even looking at Libya as part of Africa. They were not looking at Ethiopia to be part of Africa. They were not even looking at Egypt to be part of Africa. Until Gaddafi came in and started using the African flag, he started using red, black, gold, and green. And so when we intensify our superior, are very authentic, and we live as such, then of course, those who will come after, they have to pay allegiance to us, because the continent will represent the race of people. Then to find your root. That is my issue. We are not running them away. I'll be very strong when we go to the OAU conference with this. I'm not saying that they should go, but they should realize that we are authentic Black African people. So they need to listen to us. And diversity is good, but we have to look at ourselves first. But we have been struggling, we have been the least, but now is the time for them to look up to us. Okay, linguistically speaking, you can't say Swahili to be the national language of African continent, because Swahili is about 3% on Central Africa, Kenya, and other areas. When they have people like Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, Va, Mandingo, masses of the people are spoken in West Africa, East Africa, I mean, on the other side. So linguistically, we have to put on the table, we have to people do their election over here. What the largest population, what the electoral college, what the percentage of this and that. So if more people speak Gribble in one of the African countries, more than other African countries, who may vote on their particular country and the language to be like two, you see, but that will require statistics, that will require research to centralize that. But it will be difficult, just like the way we try to bring one union current, come and talk about long time, one economic strength, one current, one African currency. So that subject revolutionary, and we need to talk about that more and more, but to convince our African people on the ground, that's where the war is, because they don't want to stop you from speaking your Gribble. If they don't select your Gribble, it will be other issues, you know, but if we international, but what about the English language to us? We don't want to impose something on our people and we try to go away from. So it requires such a dialogue, reconciliation, and negotiation, arbitration. I mean, we have to actually be strategic, but that's a very strong question up to now. African people to see which way we go with that. But I would suggest that we study it statistically, geographically, geopolitically, and linguistically to see what portion of the continent speak the most. Then if you speak 5 of them, then we vote, we culturally analyze the 5 languages, then we select one and teach our people. The reason why we want to do that is that I want to be one. We want to carry one passport. We want to carry no passport at all. You see, those are some of the things I'll be talking about.
Exactly. Well, the reason why, you have to have lexicon and a field of study is so that everybody there can be able to acknowledge the field of study in its own right, and it can be able to do what it's designed to do. I agree. You ain't gonna be able to have all of them. So the difficulty is going to be which one got to go. So, but we have to be able to field of study that is of, from, by, for, and about the justice, redemption, advancement of our people, and the redevelopment of our cultures. That's what we got to start with. We have to study that does that. Right now, is there any other than Blacology? So we got to start it.
This is it. This is
this is what we got to do. This is what the ancestors blessed us to do. So that when we do this, now we've been trying to do everything we see the Europeans do, the Asians do, and anybody else that has it. If you take a look at the European continent, how many countries is it there?
Like a handful, couple handful. Can't recall, but it's
not speaking different languages. You got Spanish, French, German, Italian. I can't even name them all.
Yeah.
And all of them got different languages, and they get along. We need to get along first before we can. Yes. We ain't getting along. what's gonna make us get along is this Blacological science, where we can all agree that we Black folks and we got the same goals and we need to do something about it, and we need to do it right now, and we need to jump on it as soon as possible. Wait, here comes somebody with something else they're gonna pull a trick with us with. We've been tricked, we've been buked, we've been scorned, we've been talked about as sure as you're born. Ain't nobody been going through more than what we've been going through until we come up with the science of knowledge for our unity. We ain't going nowhere. Blacology is it. That's where we got to go. We need Blacology. We done everything under the sun. Like I say, when I went to go look for our existence as the people, and who is his?
White folks.
All right. That's what you're going to run into. So we got to cut that out. We got to stop tripping over that. We got to stop sending our kids to their schools. We got to bring them back. Look, with all the information and knowledge that we have at this point, right, we would make nothing but geniuses 20 years from now. They would be ready to do what needs to be done. We can't get out of this thing going all them different ways, going to every field of study. They got sociology, psychology, anthropology, paleontology. They got so many you can't even name them all. And we going all them separate ways. And when we bring them back home, they don't even know what we about.
Right.
You can't get a conversation with them. You know, they think they got something better than you got, and they was told they was getting better.
Right.
You take a look at the HBCU graduates from 1900s to 1950s. Ain't nobody did a job better than that. Right. And it ain't gonna happen. Why? Because they raised the children, they taught the children, they educated the children, they disciplined them according to how they could survive.
Yeah, it's a whole different paradigm.
That's where we at right now.
It's a whole different paradigm. I definitely agree with that. I definitely
gotta go back to where they took us. Get back on that horse. Ride it until so we can take and do the job that we need to do, and we can begin to be creative and productive people. That's where we at. That's what we need to do.
I'm hearing your points, right? And I think that's a good segue to our final discussion point for this evening, you know, because the coronavirus pandemic, for better or worse, has allowed us to find our way back to the Creator, to find our way back to our ancestral traditions. I'm of the mindset that this virus, right, whether it was biologically engineered or was a natural phenomenon, right, it was unleashed at a point when the earth just couldn't take what was happening to it, with the over-industrialization, with people being ran down to the ground to work for corporations, with people really being sick in hospitals and not taking care of themselves. So one could argue, you know, as a spiritualist, as a Blackologist, as somebody who's African-centered, that the coronavirus was something that was sent to bring equilibrium back into this world, into this society. And, you know, scientifically that's been proven. I would say economically, with the corporations shutting down and sports and entertainment being shut down and just education being prioritized, right? I would even argue that's still the case. With the coronavirus on the map, one particular case that I was very interested in seeing involved Madagascar. Last month, Madagascar, they released what is called COVID organics. They've taken the wormwood plant, which is used to cure malaria or treat malaria.
Say that again?
Yeah, they use wormwood. Wormwood, it's a plant. They call it Artemisia. They use that. It's similar to quinine that you use to treat malaria. The president of Madagascar said that his people, the physicians, the doctors, the researchers in Madagascar have used that plant to treat COVID-19. And right now, Madagascar is producing this medicine. The Liberian community on the continent, as well as other countries, have began to embrace it. But the powers that be, from the World Health Organization They don't call it legitimate at all. This is an example of Africans using their natural resources to solve their own problems, to cure themselves, right? I want both of y'all, with the time that we have left, to reflect on this aspect of the coronavirus pandemic, right? What does this episode, this particular situation, show about our potential to be self-sufficient, to do things outside of what the Europeans or the majority would think is beneficial to our well-being? What does this say about our potential to finally be self-determined and take back what is ours and use what is ours for our own benefit?
All right, this is true that the coronavirus had taught African people to be self-reliant, independent, self-actualized, because like you talk about the Madagascar situation, 6 or 7 African countries have gone into it, get it free of charge, and using it. This is now our first time actually producing medicine to help humanity. But first of all, the coronavirus, we don't want to go into it because it was man-made, it was made here, the white folk made that, and it started killing them. Actually, it was not even killing black people from when we first started. It was actually killing white folks. And then later on, they started infusing the virus into our community. Now we become overwhelmingly victims of the coronavirus. But African people have medicine. We are using the homemade remedies. You see, because we didn't make them, it can affect us. Even Donald Trump tried to use the malaria medicine from Africa. They call Africa shithole. But there will come a time, and then this is the time for young people like you all to go back home and transform our voodoo system, our African tradition and philosophy, our philosophical way of doing things. We taught them how to fly. We taught them how to dive. So those things are medicine. We can utilize it, openly intellectualize our community with that. The coronavirus has taught us because it has not affected Africa the way it affected European people. And they don't have medicine for it. And African have medicine for it. So this is an eye-opening situation for us as Black people to actually depend on what God gave us. We live off the land. We got the roots. We got the different kind of herbs that can help us out. But we rely on the white man's medicine so much that we power by what can cure us and come to Europe and get their medicine. So this is the reason why other African presidents, African leaders like Ghana, and other African people have started saying that they need to formulate our own medicine to cure us, as opposed to Bill Gates going there to experiment us how the new vaccine they bring in can be infused into the African people, like they did with the polio vaccine in Tuskegee, like they did to us in the 60s, in Liberia, the smallpox, the malaria, all of these things. So our eyes open, and we can't allow that to do. The coronavirus situation has really opened African mind, African eyes, and young people like you people need to follow suit, that we need to help ourselves as opposed to rely on white folks. The example of the Madagascar, the oil in Liberia now, people are using it. Your boy, Joy Weir, went straight to the airfield and got his bottle and started drinking it, like tonic water. Look, this is it. So that's what we are about. Even in our house, we drink our ginger, doing our garlic, we drink hot pepper soup and things like that. They think here actually it came, the white folk made it, it turned against them. Because I wrote some article, I said that this thing they didn't make for us. It can't kill Black people. But when they heard some of us, then they started distributing it. They started going to our community, infusing it into our people. That's what happened. When Big Girl went to Africa, they threw some cake on his face on the airport. You see, these are people, these are the enemy of Black people, Black African people. You see, he was the first that said that we have to help Africa out because they think we kill them. So then he was on his way now to infuse these things, to experiment on African people. People are not good people to us. So the coronavirus actually is an eye-opening for us.
Now, who was that, Doc?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yes. He was going to Africa to educate our people about the coronavirus. But I know they were carrying a package so that they are giving some money to other Africans to allow the vaccine to be experimented there. But I personally talked to our people on the ground in Liberia in particular. They said that we can't allow them to come in. Nobody testing anybody here. You see, you have to do that because when I in Liberia, when Ebola was made in the laboratory, I was in Liberia when when Obama sent the military to go to Liberia in an effort to help out with the Ebola situation. With the Ebola now guns, not shooting Ebola with guns. So then they were stationed according to the university. So then they were using the chemistry library there, and no chemistry professor can go there. What they're doing there? So I told Dr. Topa, I said, Doc, how can the military come? They're using our laboratory, and our professors are not there working with them. Are they not reproducing the thing? Because it was systematic. The thing came May it came May 2014. It stopped May 2015. It was on time. It was just on time.
From the 14th.
May 2014, May 2014, May 2015. That had Ebola start. It was on time. Now the military were on our campus, our Cardinal University, in the laboratory, doing something in there with duct tape, only line up. You can't go there only so then go in there. So went to a faculty meeting. I told Dr. Tupa, I said, these people are suspicious. I'm an American Liberian scholar. I don't trust them. We're not fighting Ebola with guns. What the military are doing in our laboratory, that our professor, chemistry professor, physics professor are not there working with them. They can't allow any of our professors there. So Liberia, again, is a dumping ground for the imperialist, genocidal instrument. Liberia, West Africa. Okay, so those are some of the things we need to have. We need to wake up. We need to know that our backyard, we need to clean up. And Liberia staying as an imperialist ground.
Yeah,
it's worse at this time. It's bad at this time when we have an educated situation going on there.
Is that tied to its status as a beneficiary of ACS? You know, because I always thought of Liberia as like as a strategic ground for U.S. imperialism. Just seeing that it was on the West Coast.
Yeah, you are right. You are 100% right. And in fact, this is why Liberia cannot have you as a president there, because you know too much about America. Yeah, they can have you there. But they take you like Joy Weir, they take you like Samuel Kedo, they take ignorant people that will kill you for talking. And so those are some of the things. But we have to annihilate those people there and clean it. There has to be ethnic cleansing, revolutionary through Blacology. That's the only way forward for this. That's the only way forward. Ethnic cleansing.
It makes me think about Dr. Sebi's, untimely death. If, there was some foul play, with his death, because he went back home with him and they arrested him and he died in prison and nobody knows what happened. But Dr. Sebi was a healer. Yeah. He went around the world healing people.
I know him.
And for various diseases. The most notable one, AIDS or gonorrhea or any kind of disease that you had, and he used herbs and certain plants to heal people, and then he winds up dead. So now here we are in the age of COVID-19, and a medical person, a wizard like Sebi, is gone. So then we're vulnerable to anything, because those who had the skills to be able to resolve the issues can't come out and do it. Now we subject to whatever the Europeans say, because we don't know all that you just got through telling us, Doc. That was the first thing it ever been told.
Oh yeah, I'm a blackologist. You know that,
right? Yeah, and that's why we have to build this field of study and do the things that we need to do so that we can save our people.
That's right.
What I respect about this field of study is, just like our studies were historically before colonization in Ma'afa, Blacology is very holistic, and it's and it's all encompassing. The current educational system, what it does for children to their detriment is divide up the disciplines. So they're learning each discipline in isolation, and even worse, they're not learning how learning those disciplines would help them in real life. So they're not learning the practical application, and they're not learning how the disciplines are mixed together. Even me myself, you know, as book smart as I am, I didn't get a grasp of how beneficial what I was learning was to me. All I knew was I better learn this stuff or I better not go back home, you know. But once I stepped into the real world, you know, then I saw like, okay, this is why it's beneficial to learn this and that. This is how math mixes with science, so forth and so on. And, you know, Blacology really reminds me of that. Before we sign off, you know, I like to sign off on every occasion with just our guests giving last words, you know, words of encouragement, words for us to think about as we go out throughout the week. If you could just sum up everything we said in the context of African liberation, like what does everything we said today mean for our future as liberators of African people?
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Sam. First of all, on behalf of Blacology Research Development Institute, I will appeal to Professor Cross so that we can confer a degree on you on the African Liberation Day. That is a project that my brother and I will work on it because you deserve it. You deserve a degree in Blacology. To summarize what we have discussed here is that we have more difficult days ahead, like Dr. King said many years ago. It's a risky thing to change people progressively, especially to be black. It's difficult to be black in Africa. I don't know where the psychology coming from, but it is a challenge. It's a challenge, and we need to tell the truth to the young people, to our people. That was difficult. It's hard to tell the truth. The truth hurts. But for me, I'm made like my brother there. We just tell the truth as it is. That's all we're talking about. What we are about, our intelligence of people to practice. If I believe in voodoo, voodoo must be industrial. Voodoo should be scientific. Through our voodoo situation, we can cure some of the diseases that have been transplanted into Africa. Who didn't know about gonorrhea? These are all European diseases that we are suffering from. In essence, that's what we're talking about, Pan-Africanism. Okay, when we got our own medication, when we got our own, we live off the land, we develop. When we utilize our natural resources within ourselves so that European people can rely on us, that was one of those that we're talking about. It makes Pan-Africanism significant. Blacology will be the front runner of the discipline. This is the reason why, on behalf of my brother, on behalf of Blacology Research Development Institute, we want you to be the soldier for this, and we acclaim PhD on you through the instrumentality of my brother. We'll discuss that. Black History, African Liberation Day for you, to you, and to our people, to our ancestors. That my closing for that, to award you to also continue to fight. It's difficult to be black, but be fearless. Be aware that you can die. And that when you know that you can die in liberating your people, you become fearless. But never you hesitate because of your death. The boy told me in Liberia, you have brought a Blacology. When you die, what will happen? I say that's what the African situation is about. When the man dies, the dream dies. No, you are listening to me. You know, when I pay in the Indian philosophy, you kill one Indian, more Indian comes. So when they get rid of me in Liberia because I brought Blacology, you are listening to me, you my student, you take charge.
Exactly.
Then I get back, I'll tell you, Professor Cross, no one man is a hero in this situation. We all, that's why when we educate you, go and educate other people. We'll not remain here forever. So we want you to join us, son, and then we confer the Blacology on you through my professor, Dr. Cross. So that's my closing remark there. Right there.
Give thanks. I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, just studying what you got with y'all more in general. I like reasoning with y'all. I like reasoning.
Okay.
Well, you got the Blackologist look in your eyes.
Yes,
You
sir.
were born to do it. Now, I want to close with, the definition of Blacology, because I want the people to be able to know the definition of Blacology. It is the scientific study of the Afrolution of Black African people and their culture. It is also the acclamation, affirmation, declaration, and proclamation of intellectual genius, creativity, and the Black story. Holistically, it is the manifestation of an authentic, autonomous, applied, Blacological, intellectual, cultural science, education, commerce. That is what Blacology is. I refuse to accept the ideal that the presence of urological scholars makes the Black scholars morally incapable of reaching up for the Black knowledge that forever confronts us. This is what we have to do and know to build this field of Blacology, because the next generation needs it. We need Blackologists. That's the only way we're going to survive. Our people didn't survive until they could get Black power. Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Ture first said the word Black power. From that day on, it lit up the world. It inspired the children. It inspired the people. Everybody was ready because they understand that Black means power. If you don't believe me, walk out at night, look up in the sky. Mm-hmm. Power. Black is it. And I concur. You will be a Blackologist.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. You guys heard it on All Eyes on DC first. All Eyes on DC is a Blackologist institution and organization, y'all.
All right.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Tell us the day, we'll put it together. Tell us your day, we'll put it together.
Yeah. All right, in person. I'm with it. Shoot, any weekend, any Saturday.
Okay, you just call him. First of all, we'll design your book. Well, we'll design your degree. Be in direct contact with my brother. I will design it. We'll call you, and we sign it, and we give it to you, and we record it. Then you
all
can
right.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yep.
We do. You just be in contact with him, and I will also remind him to get a special date. We'll put it together and sign it and give it to you.
Respect.
Yep.
Y'all,
the ancestors been waiting on you.
I'm with that, man. I'm with that.
They've been waiting.
I'm with that.
All right.
Family, this is the All Eyes on DC show. Sam P.K. Collins. We got our Blackologists here, Dr. Cross and Dr. Sirleaf, y'all. I want you guys, when you see this video, to spread the message of Blackology, and to just be informed about who you are as African people. Now, in the past, and forever, y'all. We are out. Peace and blessings, y'all. Much love.
Peace. Thank you. Peace. Yeah.
Abarigani. Hotel. Siku moja kwa wakati. One day at a time.
There you go. That's right, bro. All right, take care.
You too.
All right.